der zentralen Position. Nur Schwarze an der Vorsicht. Dann ist es Fjortoft. Er ist im Strafraum. Tor! Für die Frankfurter Eintracht. 5:1.
Hi, and welcome to the German Fußball podcast. As always, joined by my father, Jan Fjortoft, for today's episode on Bayern Munich. Dad, we have a bit to discuss, but first of all, welcome and good to see you again after not seeing each other for a day.
Yes, absolutely. It was great to visit you in London. And what I liked, and in a football perspective, we shouldn't go into all the family matters, was that we went in the footsteps of Ted Lasso. So we went to Richmond. Not only did we have a great brunch there at the boat that we can recommend, but we also went into the pub, made our photos, went down that little street where he walked in, and my wife and myself, we hadn't seen the two last episodes, so we saw them yesterday, and it was great to see them. And I won't say anything because what happened at the last episode, of course, because I'm very allergic to when people kind of reveal something. But a great episode. And one of the highlights of last season, Mark, is when I met the team of AFC Richmond at Tottenham. The whole team there was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It's a tour I've shown. It's a popular tour at that, but yeah, you were very wary of not giving any spoilers.
Exactly.
Even though we were at that place, but we have a bit to discuss that, and I guess we can go straight into it. Of course, a lot of it centers around Bayern, and now there's a lot of different things happening, and we'll break that down. But I guess where we can start is Bayern's new sporting director. Now, last episode we also had Christian Falk and Toby Alchef, the Bayern Insider, was talking about the Magnificent Seven and the power structure within Bayern. And we'll get into that a bit with Uli Hoeneß's involvement in Kane and the comments he made. But now with a new sporting director, first of all, explain to the audience who Christoph Freund is, and then I guess after that we can discuss in terms of how that fits into this new power hierarchy at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, is it surprising? Yes or no? Because Bayern love to have coaches. They love to have sport managers, sport directors that they've had a Bayern background. That's why a lot of people thought that Max Eberl, who is in Leipzig, should maybe come there. But he has not been in Leipzig for a long time after he came to Gladbach, after he took some time out to Erholung, to relax a bit after that stunt he had there. We did fantastic, Max Eberl. But then there have been a lot of speculations who that should be. And instead of going from a former Bayern player, they just went down the road. As you know, Marcus, I've been driven that road a lot of times, 150 kilometers at A8 between Munich and Salzburg, and they found Christoph Freund. And who is Christoph Freund? First of all, I've known Christoph for many years. He is one of the good lads. He's a very good human being. He's a polite, he's humble, he is that kind of guy that you like to be in company of. Having said that, people then will ask how he will then fit in at Bayern. He will fit in well because he got a proven record. He played at the lower levels in Austrian football. Then he came as a team manager to Salzburg. And then he went into the sport coordinator at the club. And he worked very closely with Ralf Rangnick, who is now the head of Austrian national team. And he went through the Red Bull kind of academy, meaning that this is a powerhouse now. When you see all the coaches around with Rose, with Adi Hütter, with Jesse March, Ralf Rangnick. So they kind of made a school there, or an academy to educate the way they're thinking, the way they are seeing football and how it's going to be done. And Ralf Rangnick always said when he told Christoph Freund that we're going to sell players for double digits and in millions, and Christoph Freund said, "Well, this is Austrian football." Yeah, well, we'll see. And now Christoph Freund, since many years now, he's been around doing a fantastic job. I guess it's 8 years since he have had that job in Austria, taking on young players and sell them for a lot of money. And I mean, Szoboszlai, who is now at Liverpool, Upamecano, Erling Haaland, of course, Šeško, who is now the striker at Leipzig, on and on and on. And there's also the way that he watch football is also the way he take on new coaches. So if one goes, so Marco Rose goes, then he will find another coach, then he will find Jesse March leave, he will find Jaisle, and he will they will always have a big plan. So this is one of the best in the business, Marcus. I think that the Magnificent Seven have gone for a younger version, a hungrier version. He fits in to this, not only the Magnificent Seven at Bayern, but you remember I said that in a podcast that I thought that Thomas Tuchel will get more power at Bayern, and he certainly has. And now it's all about Dresden, who is a new CEO. You have Christoph Freund, you have Thomas Tuchel, and then they have their head of recruitment doing the negotiations, fix the deals, which will be Neppe. And it's interesting also to see that when they put out the statement, they were very clear that Neppe going to be there, although he was the man of Salihamidzic, so he will keep on there. So I will say, Marcus, in terms of leadership, in terms of the right people in the right positions, Bayern have done very well. They have got the best ones around. And now it's all for Christoph Freund to kind of survive, kind of find his way, find his position. First of all, in Bayern, then in German football, and then of course in the German media landscape. Because although I love my Austria, I've got a utmost respect for Austria, of course, but it's going to be tougher, a lot tougher than being the head of sport in Salzburg.
Because what I wanted to ask is, he's obviously done an incredible job. I believe a transfer surplus of 400 million euros, right? So you mentioned some names there in which they've been able to recruit, identifying a type of player in a certain type or era of their career in which they can develop and then sell on for more. Obviously, the expectations and the way of going by recruitment will be different in Bayern as well. Not necessarily being the transfer surplus or X amount of millions that we've sold players for, but it is about titles. And we always go back to this, that the build long-term and win short-term analogy. But the fact of the matter is, it will be different in terms of what is being expected of him. You you've been a sporting director yourself. How can you transfer? You said that he has a proven record, but even still, there will be a form of transition there in which the expectations will be different in terms of how you recruit. Now, we'll be getting into this, and he will be taking over following this transfer window. He's not coming in now, by the way, to have a direct say, but following that, he will be recruiting looking for the best players in the business, while, of course, recruiting young players. But yeah, I guess, what are your thoughts on that in terms of that transition?
Well, I think that the recruitment of Christoph Freund is also a symbol of the position of Bayern in the international football, because Bayern knows that with lack of investors, with a 50+1 rule, meaning that the members got to own the club, they can't get sold or get a lot of money. They have to find a new philosophy to get the best players. And I think Christoph Freund will do that. They will try to take on the talents and develop them into great players. The funny thing about it is that Bayern have always done that. We just kind of forget that. If you see Philipp Lahm or Thomas Müller, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Joshua Kimmich, not that they've developed them all by themselves, all of them, but they found a way that they've taken them on as young, then they've loaned them out, or they take young players, loan them out again. So that has been the philosophy of Bayern. So I think that this is also a consequence of that. Bayern will always have the big signings. They will try to get the big signings, as they do, and we're going to speak a lot more about Harry Kane in a moment. But I think that taking Christoph Freund on is now a philosophy of them trying to get the best talents before they turn into superstars. And I think that is the only way Bayern can survive at the top of international football in competition with Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, all the money involved, Qatar, all the money that are involved in international football, all the money are involved with the Premier League, with the ownership that makes them being able to sign the most expensive players. Bayern Munich can't do that. Bayern Munich can maybe take one, but they can't make 3-4 players in every window. So they have to develop, and I think now with Christoph Freund, that is a signal that this is not a new, but it's a philosophy of Bayern. And if you see the players Bayern have got in this window, in the last couple of windows, it's not a top-notch, and no disrespect, because he's a great players, but it's not a top-notch because they know that they will lose out of them in compare, especially with the Premier League.
And one of those players, that exception, that one player, that superstar that Bayern can potentially get is Harry Kane. Dad, a lot of transfer sagas around that whole situation. You've been following closely, made longer / shorter statements as well on Twitter, kind of painting the picture for us right now. I guess where I want to start is, does Harry Kane want to go to Bayern Munich?
Bayern Munich says that Harry Kane wants to go to Bayern. And we have to believe them because they say that. But it's quite interesting, this saga, Marcus, because we have two parties who are 100% in contrary to each other. They are so opposite because Bayern talk all the time and Tottenham don't say a word. I mean, I know which strategy I would have followed if I would. I would do the Tottenham thing because, yes, the entourage, the team Kane, if you like, he's been managed by his brother. And Levy, they haven't said anything in public, which is quite interesting. Bayern tries to do that. I think that Dresden, the CEO, who is kind of the project manager of the process of getting Kane in, because he has to find the money, he has to find a way to do it. He would love to do that. But then we have this great incident. Is Uli Hoeneß, who is the Don Corleone of Bayern in German football. He comes to a training session, or was it? It was because of a friendly game, I guess. He came to that, and all journalists attacked him. And he started by saying, Marcus, I won't say anything because the leaks at Bayern need to stop. And that was the last thing he said before he started and said everything. And he said that Harry Kane and his entourage has promised us that he will come to Bayern. Levy, I respect him, but it's just about finding a number and he will come to us. I trust the entourage of Harry Kane, sticking to their words, and so on and so on. And I can't imagine, Marcus, that Dresden, the CEO of Bayern, I mean, he would take all his hairs. I mean, how can you do that? And I love Uli Hoeneß, been one of my favorites since he started at Bayern. What a story it is, how he's built up the club. But the strategy, terrible. I mean, you can't do that. And you can't do that when you do with Levy. I don't know Levy personally, but everybody says who is negotiating with him, he's a good negotiator. And I have to believe him. He is strict. He's down to the wire. He's down to what this is all about. And for Tottenham, this is all about losing Harry Kane or not. The big player, the 100 million euro, 100 million pound. I mean, take your pick. So there is only two alternatives for Levy. Is that he will stay, of course, Harry Kane. He will get him a great contract, and he will stay for the rest of his career, get a statue somewhere, break all records, or he will sell him for an awful lot of money. So can you imagine Levy sitting there doing the negotiations, and then you see this statement for Uli Hoeneß kind of make him look a bit stupid? Not in terms that I think Uli Hoeneß want him to look stupid, because he said his respect for him. But I can't imagine that provoked Levy a lot. And I don't think that was a good step by Bayern. Or I don't think it was not a good step by Bayern at all. And Dresden also, it was reported that Dresden had to call Tottenham, had to call Levy and kind of apologize that this has gone into the public arena, all these negotiations. I think that Uli Hoeneß, to find, not to excuse him, but just try to explain why he did it, is that it's a bit old school, because Bayern kind of just came in with a whole army. They just went in there, said, we are Bayern, I am Uli Hoeneß, I want this player, finito. The problem is, of course, they are dealing with English football clubs, they're dealing with the English media and so on. Harry Kane hasn't said a word. He went with a training camp with them. So I think that Tottenham are playing their cards better at the moment. At this moment, Marcus, I have no idea if Harry Kane will go to Bayern. I've always been skeptical. I don't want to put my too long out there to say that he won't go there, but I still got a feeling that Bayern overplaying their hand. Maybe has the entourage of Harry Kane said they will keep their options open. Yes, if you can agree with Tottenham, maybe we can go there. But as we said in the first episode, we talked about Harry Kane, Marcus. This summer is all up to Tottenham. Next summer is all up to Harry Kane. But I don't think Harry Kane will go into a year where they play in the Euro in Germany, a year that he is going to be without a contract, that he will go for a free next summer. I don't think that. And I also think that this overdoing things for Bayern, saying we'll take him on a free next summer, I don't believe that. Because next summer, if he's in for a free, all clubs in Europe will think that although he is over 30, we will take him on. Manchester United, Chelsea, maybe Barcelona will say that Lewandowski will move on and will take on there, and so on and so on. Real Madrid, Mbappe or not. So I think this saga will run. A friend of mine said either this will go very quick or will take very long. And it sounds like a cliche, but I understand what he's saying, because you can get a position that Levy will think that if I get a mega offer, I have to let him go. And maybe the mega offer won't be on the table of Tottenham before the end of the transfer window out in late August.
How is it that Bayern are the only realistic target for him this season? Obviously, it's a bit of seems like a now or never sort of scenario for Bayern next year. It's Harry Kane's the world is his oyster-ish, you'd like to think, in the sense that there will certainly be offers from other places. But why is it just Bayern at this point?
Well, if we go with the story that he has said yes to Bayern, which I translate to, if I go abroad, I will go to Bayern, maybe, because nobody were there when he said it. So it's clear that he said no to PSG. Maybe the door wasn't open. The doors weren't open in Spanish Liga. Barcelona got Lewandowski. Looks like Real Madrid are happy. They're happy with the players they have got in this window. Next summer, Ancelotti gone. A new coach will come. Maybe there will be a new kind of start at Real Madrid. So I think this is a matter of Levy will also say there is no chance that the only alternative for you, Harry, if you leave this summer, if you go abroad, I can't have it that you play for Chelsea. I can't have it that you play for Manchester United. I think that's why Bayern has turned up as a great favorite. And having said that, Bayern is also a guarantee for titles. I mean, Harry Kane never won a title. He would like to have titles. He like to challenge for the Champions League. So I think that this is a matter of realism. That is no chance that he will go to Chelsea or Manchester United. Having said that, I think that there's an interesting thing there, because Manchester United, they are lack of a number 9. There's a lot of talking about the Atalanta striker Højlund or Muani, who is with Eintracht Frankfurt, of course. But I think in a moment they agree a fee, Tottenham and Bayern, Manchester United will try it out again, because say that they agree on 100, just to say a number. They agree on 100. Is that a chance for Bayern to test Levy, saying, well, we'll take it from 110? I'm just putting it out there. I think that is the most realistic way that Manchester United can hope for Harry Kane. But what I do understand that Manchester United is not out of the race. They're still monitoring what is happening there, and you see they are signing players. They are in this moment as we speak. Onana is having his medical in Manchester. They get a new goalkeeper, but they are lack of a number 9, and Harry Kane will fit all bills at Old Trafford.
The saga continues, Dad. It would be a great scoop for the Bundesliga, and that we must say selfishly from a German football podcast, to have Harry Kane in the Bundesliga would be great. I think we're in need of bigger profiles, and what better than England's all-time goal scorer. That just towards the end here, in terms of concluding matters, Eintracht Frankfurt have been active on the transfer market. Robin Koch from Leeds has joined on loan, for instance, but we have also other players coming in. Would you care to delve into that situation for Eintracht Frankfurt? They seem to do a bit of a rebuild.
Absolutely, and if you see, I got a Bayern shirt behind me, I got a Dortmund shirt behind me. It's because of the other two big ones in German football, but it's of course my heart is in Frankfurt. And Frankfurt always have restarts. They have, you remember Niko Kovac went to Bayern Munich, then they got Adi Hütter, and then Adi Hütter left to go to Gladbach. I still think that he'll regret that move because he's been out of this for a while. But then you get Glasner, and Glasner's leaving, and now Dino Topmöller, young coach that Markus Krösche, the head of sport at Bayern, knows from his Leipzig days. So it's always a chance for Frankfurt. They've been so good at kind of restart. And maybe when we saw the last season, Marcus, is that Frankfurt got a bit, I'm not saying tired, I'm just saying not that hungry. Having said that, going to Europe, will be in the Conference League or play in Euro. You never know the roads, the path there. Maybe they will end up in the Champions League. What do I know with all these rules in Europe? But and they went to the Pokalfinale, the cup final in Berlin, which they lost, but still they were there. So, but Markus Krösche is one of the masters in the business to restart teams. And when you get Dino Topmöller in, who is not a great experience as a head coach on the highest level, but still is an assistant manager for Julian Nagelsmann, it's a time for getting new players. So they're losing Ndika in the defense. They are losing Kamada, the offensive, the number 10, so to say. So this is a great way for them to get new players in, and they have delivered. And you were talking about Robin Koch. I have to put my glasses on now because I made my notes about the player. Robin Koch, we know he came from Leeds United, which is good. But then he got Shiri from Köln, who is maybe the best player of Cologne last season. I mean, we expect him. I expect him to go to Dortmund. He's a great signing for them. He can play so different positions in midfield. He is 28. Koch is 27. So then you check. You have the experienced player there, and with Koch you also got a central man into the defense, because there were times last season, Marcus, when Frankfurt didn't play well or they defensively they were struggling, and they also got the one day everybody talk about, Marcus. I can put you into a new name, William Pacho from Ecuador. He's from Royal Antwerpen. He has been winning the leagues there. He's 21, and he is one of these, these defenders that is there. This presence enormous. So you can imagine Pacho and Robin Koch playing in central for Eintracht Frankfurt. So I think they have added well in defense, with Shiri in midfield also good. Then they have taken on a 19-year-old guy from Malmö, Hugo Larsson. Hugo Larsson is 19. They say his legs are very thin, they said, so you can imagine that guy, but still one of the best around in Malmö in the Allsvenskan. You just have to see how long he will take to adjust. It took Jesper Lindström, the Danish guy who came from Brøndby, some time as well. But Hugo Larsson is one of those talent that you as a Frankfurt, talking about where do they pick their players, they have to see in the Nordic countries the best players around, and he was named as by a lot of expert as the most valuable player in Allsvenskan. So that is a good player. Talking about young players, they also got Jessic Ngakam. Where his second name may be bad, but he's a German under-21 player.
We had some promising moments for Hertha Berlin. Obviously,
for Hertha Berlin,
they were struggling, but
in a struggling, So in a struggling Hertha, he was one of the better around, and we'll see. He played 18 games, 4 goals, 2 assists. He's 21, and you can see that the philosophy is to get in young players. They have Koch and Shiri, the experienced player, and then you have another guy from Ecuador, Bautista. They speak good about him as well, under 21 national player, and we'll see how long they maybe they'll keep him, take him out. It's also a colleague from Mo Salah from Egypt. It came from Omar Marmoush. They have taken him on as well. He's 24 years of age, and he is that kind of player that Frankfurt love to take on. Younger players, quick players, great in dribbling. So I think that if we take what we start about, Marcus, with Christoph Freund, and then you end up with Markus Krösche, who are in that Red Bull Academy, you see that is younger players, quick players, they take them on. And then you see, I think Markus Krösche has done very well in this transfer window. And it's also the philosophy, if you see that you take on 2 or 3 young players and you hope that one will turn into a great player that you then, unfortunately, have to sell. So I think that the big question mark now for Eintracht Frankfurt going into August, we're not even, Marcus, there's 6 weeks left of the transfer window, is can they keep Muani? We know that Manchester United are looking at him. We know that PSG would like to have a French young national player there. So I think that it's a matter. But I think Eintracht Frankfurt look good. Having said that, every club looks good in July. Every coach looks good in July. But still, I think that Markus Krösche has done it again and make it possible for a restart for Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yes, and Colomwani would have been one of those names that you would have listed from that list, so to speak, had it been last year. And Fabrizio said this, you've said this, it would take a very, very high amount to get Colomwani away from Eintracht Frankfurt.
And more important, Eintracht Frankfurt says it. Eintracht Frankfurt says it, and I have spoken to Markus Krösche about that. And he said, well, there's no chance that we'll keep him. They got a long-term contract. He got no clause in his contract, so they can just keep him.
It's nice when it's like that.
Exactly.
Thanks for now. That was a little kind of breakdown our Bayern situation, a little about Eintracht situation, and we are getting closer, believe it or not, to the Bundesliga season. Before you know it, we'll have cup games, league games, and what have you. But for now, we will follow the Kane saga closely, and then we'll be back, I believe, when there are some major developments. But thanks for now, Dad.
Auf Wiedersehen, danke.